Tune into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Hello and warm welcome to yet another exciting edition of the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. Today in the studio, we have a special guest in the passing of Jaha Mari Dukure, a prominent anti-FGM advocate and champion. Readers will recall that just last week, a controversy rose when a one month old baby was die after undergoing female genital mutilation. To discuss this and many more issues about FGM in the Gambia and the advocacy anti-FGM advocates are doing to ensure that the lift on the FGM remain in place. I'll be talking to Madam Dukure for this 1 hour about FGM and efforts they are doing, in raising awareness about this cultural practice. Once again, for those tuning, this is the final take, and I will welcome my guest, Miss Jaha Dukure. Jaha, welcome to the final take with me, Seni Marina.
Thank you very much, Brother Seni. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Jaha is speaking to us from her base in Banjul. Jaha, thank you for joining us on the final take. For our audience, could you say a bit about your journey as an activist and what inspired you to focus on ending FGM in the Gambia?
So, Seni, I'm no longer working on FGM. I used to be very public facing with my activism work, but that's really not what I do in the moment. But what inspired me to work on the issue of FGM is because of my own personal experiences with the issue, as well as ensuring that the millions of girls that continue to go through this practice have a voice, and that we're the ones that are leading efforts within our own community. So initially, that's what inspired me to add my voice to the campaign, but that's not the work I do anymore.
Jaha, you have been at the forefront in FGM. What has changed now that, a well-known prominent, you spoke at international forums, you lead policy discussions on FGM, and you even serve as a role model for a lot of young girls who are into advocacy. What has changed that Jaha is now shifting focus from a crusade that is so dear to you?
No, it's not that I'm stepping away. Sini, the misconception that people have about me is they thought that my life was entirely FGM, but ending FGM was never a career goal for me. I have always aspired to do things that I would be remembered for that were not just FGM related. I'm very fortunate that I am partially who I am today because of the FGM movement. That's why people know me. The respect that I carry around the world is due to the publicity that I got for the FGM movement. But it was never my goal to make this a lifelong thing. And our space in ending FGM is very toxic, where I just spent more than 10 years of my life working in an environment that allowed me to be disrespected, allowed my family to be disrespected. I was misunderstood by my community. They never felt that I was doing this work for them. They always assumed that I was doing this work because I was getting paid by the West. And I think I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to do that. I was part of the FGM campaign when I was effective, when I could change hearts and minds in the Gambia. And the day that I felt like I was no longer able to do that, I'm not disillusioned about who I am. I don't want to just continue acting like I'm making an impact or I'm having an effect when in truth, I'm not. I think people like me who are doing this work, there's a lot of mistrust in this country where people don't trust our intentions of why we're doing it. And I think once we, I'm sorry, someone is calling me. I think once we get to, let me quit my WhatsApp
Yeah,
so
that's
that no one continues to call me. So I think people like me, right? We
right.
did, okay, hold on. I'm gonna, hold, hold on. I am on an interview.
For those
Okay.
joining us,
Sani,
the
I'm so sorry. I
conversation
don't
is
even know
about
where
FGM in the
I don't even know
Gambia,
where I
and in
was.
the studio right
Exactly.
now is with.
Yes.
That's
So,
fine. Go
Sani,
ahead.
I did this work for my community. When I started doing this work, which was under JAME, at the time we raised a lot of awareness. We tried to raise the consciousness of people. We were able to get a lot of young people to join our movement. We worked with religious leaders. We worked with our elders. We traveled from Banjul to Koina to talk to our people. I knew that my work was very, very effective. But recently, with the media attention and, the religious leaders, my friend Imam Fati, it just got to a point where I feel like I'm not the best person. I'm still going to support the movement in whatever way I can, but I'm just no longer the best messenger for this movement.
You are not the best messenger for this movement. Jaha, you have been doing this work for more than 15 years, and you become a limelight for many young girls. But I understand the challenges you are facing in terms of putting your message across. Is this one of the reasons why you are focusing on something different?
No, I mean, I've always had my businesses, and that's what I do not understand about Gambians. I've always had a job outside of Gambia.
Okay.
Safe Hands for Girls was an organization that I founded, but I
Right.
had a life that was different from my activism. And now I've just decided to focus on my businesses and my family, raising my kids, being there for them. And I will support, like I said, I will support the movement, but I don't want to be the poster child for the FGM movement anymore. And I think I have every right to do that. I gave more than 10 years of my life to this campaign. And the only thing it brought, not outside of the Gambia, I'm still very celebrated when I'm outside of the Gambia. But if my own people don't understand or appreciate the work that I do, then who am I working for? And I was never in this work because of the West. I don't care what the West thinks.
Yeah, Jaha,
Because
you have been, accused by people online that you have been bankrolled by the West. You going against Islam, you know.
the, Sani, let me tell you something, right? This is the internet. The West is going to watch this interview. I have never been funded by any US government entity. I have never been funded by any of the EU nations. Like I said yesterday in the interview that I had with Gisgis, I have friends that are rich. Those are the people that have supported me. The reason why the West and most of the Western countries don't fund me is because they cannot control my message. I'm not a puppet. There are people that are funded by the West, but I have never been fortunate to be
Yeah,
funded
yeah,
by
because there is this notion that most of the civil society organizations like
I can't speak
anti-FGM
for them.
are all bankrolled by the West to
Man,
propagate,
me,
their
me.
ideas and programs in the Gambia.
See, that's because Gambians don't know me. The reason why they keep saying and doing all the things that they are doing. Yes, I have Western friends that have supported me. I have Western organizations that have supported me.
But
But
do this in any way
none in
influence your work?
USAID, like all of these funding, millions of dollars that are coming into the FGM movement. I was never the one that they funded. Even the UN agencies here in the Gambia, around 2016, 17, We used to get funding from UNICEF to do the school programs that we used to do, but we no longer get funded by any of the UN agencies either. And if I'm lying, let them come out and say that I'm lying.
So that's a total misconception from people who claim to know where your source of funding is. Anyway, Jaha, I know you are still very much concerned about our environment, especially with regard to the recent discussion around FGM with the death of Sergio Conte, a 1 month old baby. Jihad, tell us what is happening. I think the FGM law is still in place. Even though efforts have been made right now to lift the ban.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. The reason why people like Imam Fati are successful is because they successfully turned Gambians against people like me. They have drove a wedge between the people that have the authenticity as well as the expertise to do the work the right way, right? And as a result of that, like someone like me is tired, like I'm out. I don't want to do it anymore. But the problem that we have is the people that are doing this work, like I told you, they've already lost trust. It's going to be hard until Gambians start believing that activists are actually here for their interest and that these laws are meant to protect them. We are going to continue having these cases and these stories over and over again.
But,
I think right
why
now,
the mistrust, Jaha? Because the people you serve, they must trust you. So why the mistrust?
so that's why I said, as long as that mistrust exists, if I continue speaking, I'm fooling myself, I'm fooling everyone by making them think that my work is actually making a difference when it's not. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. The
But
reason why
Jaha, there are a lot of organizations apart from your organization that are also in this fight. So do you think, I think this is
I mean, Amy, I don't want to talk about any organizations because that's not like I'm talking about me and my work and my experience, right?
yeah, but this is
So
the same
what
area,
I
both of the same area, your organization and others are all fighting, but now you are making it clear that, it will be hard for anyone fighting in the area of FGM to make gains. And this is very
because that's the problem.
surprising.
No, but that's the problem with international development, right? We lie to ourselves, we pat ourselves in the back, and we clap when we know that we are not making a difference. I am not going to be a part of that.
Huh.
I'm not one of
So
those
you
people.
have been very honest to yourself, right?
Yes. The moment I realized that I'm no longer effective at this, I stepped away. If we were all willing to do that, we would achieve the change that we are looking for. There wouldn't be this much mistrust. But the reason why there's mistrust is because they see some of us doing one thing and saying one thing, and then they hit us all with one cane. This was before I was born. This has always been the history of international development.
How do people like you partner with others to counter these misconceptions about the advocacy you do? Because if you
Really,
guys
that's not
come
my
to,
job. No, 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 that's not my job. Like for me, it's like I've done when I sleep at night, I'm very, very I sleep well because I know that I gave it everything I can. I know that my intentions were genuine. I know that I did this for my people. But it's not my job to convince people. No. Like the FGM movement, what it needs, let's bring the focus back to the 10-month-old. What this movement needs in Gambia, when we share our own stories of what we went through, we are always told that we are lying, we are doing it because of
yeah,
the West, right? There's a
yeah, but
10-month
yes,
old baby that just died.
yeah, not 10,
What
it's not even 10, it's 1 month old, Jaha,
one,
1 month,
yes,
not,
I keep saying 10 months, but a 1 month old baby that just
yeah.
died. The government did an autopsy.
Yeah.
Evidence came out. The government and the Gambia police needs to be the one that is putting that message out there. Doctors from hospitals who
Yeah.
saw that this kid bled to death, they're the right messengers. It's not me. It's not me telling the world what happened to me. Because if
Jaha, it take government more than 24 hours for them to come out and acknowledge that this
no,
death
but
is related to FGM. And secondly, also, just yesterday, a group of concerned Gambians countered the government press statement saying that there is no evidence that link the 1 year old, sorry, the 1 month old
they are not
death
concerned
to
Gambians.
FGM.
No. Sini, please. No, they are not concerned Gambians. They are led
That's what
by a
it's a group of at least 3 organizations. Gambian women
led
are free to choose their bodies.
led by
And
a
they are
woman
urging
from
the
Sierra
government to
Leone.
even lift the ban.
Led by a woman from Sierra Leone.
Oh
Led
wow,
by a Fritonian woman called Fumbai Ahmadu
wow,
that is going
interesting.
around
Hmm.
saying that she's helping Gambian women to choose. The same
Wow.
way I'm not the right messenger for the anti-FGM movement, Fumbai is not the right person to tell us what to do either. So she needs to stay out of our business
Okay.
and focus on what's happening in Sierra Leone. That 1 month old baby died because of FGM. And what pisses me off is the fact that they continue to deny the same way they say they have the right to cut themselves and go through FGM. When a baby that couldn't consent dies as a result of it, don't come out and say that that's not true. That's my problem with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So their argument that this is not medically proven is not true.
That is not true. The baby died because they bled. The doctors can, but this is the problem with these people as well. Even if you give them evidence, I can't even believe that they have the audacity to come out and say that that's not true. That's the problem. There's some people, it's just like the Republicans in America. It doesn't matter what you tell them.
Yeah,
What-
they will still they will still believe what they believe in.
like, you see, Sani, like, how are you going to change people like that? You might as well just know that you can't change their minds.
But Jaha, what role do you think government need to play in this aspect? Because if the government is not doing enough to protect young girls, it will be hard, for activists like you to also advance their advocacy to protect their health. Looking at this unfortunate incident, it has raised a lot of alarm. It was all over the international media that a 1 month old baby died because of FGM. And here in the Gambia, you were spearheading that advocacy at the parliament to, talk to MPs not to repeal their law on FGM. Tell us about this. What is the latest with regards to the lifting of the FGM ban?
I mean, I know that there's a case at the Supreme Court, but like I told you, after we won at the National Assembly, I just told the FGM movement, peace out. Like, I I don't like. I honestly can't tell you what's happening. To be honest,
But Ja, don't you think it's too early to chicken out from this advocacy?
no, I'm not chickening out. I'm just tired. Like, Sini, I'm tired.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about what can be done to ensure that this law remain in place. Because I realize that you spend a lot of resources. You went to Egypt with lawmakers for a study tour, and sometime back, probably a couple of years ago, you brought in religious leaders all over the world to converge in Banjul. And at the end of that summit, there was a fatwa, that
Thank
was issued,
thank
on
you.
FGM. Bring us back to this issue.
I mean, Sini, like I told you, right? When you look at the work that I have done on FGM before Jamia left, you were here in the Gambia when I first started coming back to the Gambia, and you were a journalist, right? Not only
Right.
did I work with religious leaders and young people, you remember we worked with journalists. We created
Yeah.
the space for people to report more investigative and human interest stories. I brought religious leaders to the Gambia because I knew how religion was connected to us practicing FGM. But for the last 12 years of my life, people, especially Gambians, and the people that say they share the same cause with me, I'm not talking about the pro FGM movement, but the anti FGM movement have undermined everything that I have done. They go to international foundations and governments and tell them that I don't do anything in the Gambia. I'm a
And do you
hotel.
think this is a deliberate
It's actually
act
deliberate to the point where the
or a
American embassy
calculated move?
blacklisted me. It's a calculated move. I don't get invited to the American embassy for any of their events in the Gambia, and I'm an American. When the American embassy is hosting stuff, they have literally accused me of, because they think I am competing for their funding when they don't realize that I'm actually their strongest allies. If they were smart enough to partner with me, I could have brought more funding to the Gambia because of the access that I have. But for them, they always saw me as a threat. That's why I told them, take it. I don't need this. At the end of the day, I'm the only person that can sit down and tell you I have never been funded by the US government. I have never been funded by any, and stand by it. If anyone else can do that, let them come out. So deliberately, I was pushed over the edge because I took a lot and I endured a lot. I accepted a lot. I accepted Gambians to accuse me of all sorts of things, and I stayed quiet because I didn't want it to impact the overall FGM movement. But I'm at a point where I'm no longer willing to sacrifice myself for a movement that wouldn't even defend me.
Is there unity in motion and advocacy, in the area of FGM? Are you guys a united front, or everyone is doing
advocacy, but in the charity world and the international development world, as long as someone is giving you something, there's always imbalance in the power dynamic.
right?
And if you're not careful, they will end up owning you. That's why I don't believe in aid. That's why I think Africa needs to be in a place where we are self-reliant. I have always been an advocate to try to find creative ways of funding my work. If you remember, a few years ago, I became an international spokesperson for L'Oreal.
Yeah,
All that
the
money,
French magazine.
when I was doing activism, and I did some work for Gucci and other international brands like that, right? I found creative ways, Seni, of earning money that wasn't necessarily a grant to fund my work.
And Jaha, this is something that a lot of people, might not know, because when you look at online, the attack is that Jaha and his colleagues are bankrolled by the West.
This is what pisses me off. Okay, let's Imam Fati, when he goes for interviews, right? Do you ever hear Imam Fati name anyone else other than me and Aissatou Toure?
Toure. Why is Imam Fati so obsessed with you and your advocacy?
No. It's not why Imam Fati is so obsessed with me. The reason is, anyone in the Gambia, when you talk to them about FGM, right? From 2013 up to date, the people that are in this country, saying, you guys know who Jaha Dukure is and what Jaha Dukure has done, right? But when the same movement has convinced the West that Jaha Dukure is a hotel activist, and she doesn't even go to the villages. She's this, thinking that those people are funding me, right? Like, Jaha Dukure has stepped away. Let them do, let them do what Jaha was doing.
Jaha, that's a very interesting discussion out there, because Gambia right now is at a serious crossroad, and you guys have done a lot in terms of advocacy to make sure that the girl child is protected. But your critics will argue that FGM is a religious thing. Muslims allowed to practice it. Some even link it to our beloved prophet, peace be upon him. Jaha, do you still have that notion that FGM is not a religious obligation?
I don't think FGM is mandatory in Islam, right? I don't think it's haram in Islam. I don't think it was forbidden in Islam to practice FGM. But what I do know is that it is harmful. And Islam is such a loving religion that it doesn't even allow us to pierce parts of our body.
Yeah.
Islam
Yeah.
doesn't allow us to do tattoos. Islam doesn't allow us to hurt ourselves. I just don't think that religion would hurt women like that. And that's my argument. I'm not saying that it's haram. I'm not saying that it
Yeah.
was forbidden. But the harm that is associated with it is the reason why we are saying we need to leave it alone, because it's something that is not in the Quran and there's no clarity around it. There's no consensus from all Muslims. Like how we know that as a Muslim, I have to pray 5 times a day. If I
Right.
don't, I'm not a Muslim. As a Muslim, I have to take out zakat. As a Muslim, I have to fast during Ramadan. As a Muslim, I have to go to Hajj if I have the money. Those things we know, we have clarity around
Yeah,
it.
they are fundamental pillars of
Yes,
Islam.
FGM, let's really be honest with ourselves and sit and talk. That's my point.
Let's sit and talk. Jaha, has someone who has worked closely with survivors and community, can you share any stories that illustrate the human toll of FGM, particularly on infants and families in the country?
Saini, I get messages on Instagram and Facebook on a daily basis, and I feel like it triggers me so much. I hear from women who were sealed and they just got married and their husbands couldn't consummate the marriage and they wanted to know what to do. And then, you get heartbreaking messages from women who are from different tribes, and the harsh reality of coming from a tribe that doesn't practice FGM and marrying into a tribe that practice,
Yeah,
and
practice
the
FGM,
things
yeah.
that they tell you. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't hear these cases. And those were the people and the reason why I continue to do this work. So that hopefully with our generation, right? I know that there's a huge possibility that we can change the older generation and our parents' generation. But people like me, people like you, we can decide that we are not going to put our children
Mhm.
through this. But I do believe that we need to do this work from a place of empathy. We need to do this work from a place of respect, from a place of honoring our traditions, our elders. And that's why I think like the feminist movement doesn't like me, because they say I dialogue too much, I negotiate too
But
much.
Ja, yourself, you are a feminist. Why will the
I have
feminist
never
movement?
called myself a feminist, Sani.
Yes, but with the advocacy you do in the areas of girls and women,
I
that automatically make you a feminist.
no, I mean, well, though what you guys refer to as a feminist, I do not identify with those values. What you guys, I'm not saying the actual meaning of
Okay,
feminist,
well, okay.
but
So now, Jaha, break this thing. In your own opinion, when we say a feminist, who is a feminist? Because
when
the ordinary thinking of an ordinary Gambian is that a person who advocates for the rights of women and girls,
I
or
am
for
a
the rights.
feminist. No, no, no. When you look at the definition of who is a feminist, right? I love women. My mother was one of the strongest women, and she supported my dad. You look at our grandmothers, right?
Mhm.
Those women's values of feminism is the one that I subscribe to. But the
Okay.
Western value of feminism is the one I do not subscribe to.
And that is why you will not be in the same group with those who call themselves a Western style feminists. So now, tell me, our grandmas, you consider them feminists. What do they do
Yes.
different from this generation of, I would say, modern conscious feminists. What is the difference between these two? To be candid, because you believe in the feminism of your grandma, who you said is your source of inspiration, but you are hated in the modern, I would say, modern feminist movement, like the ones in the Gambia. Break this down for our viewers.
I think Africa is a very matriarchal society as a whole, and our mothers are the backbones of our society. Everything they do, everything they are, from the way they take care of us, from the way they raise us, the way they serve in families. Like, I remember before my grandfather died, he put all the elders in Gambisara together and told them to pray for my mother because of how well she took care of him, right? And these
Mhm.
are values that I hold to this day.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I, regardless of how big I get or where I am in the world, I'm an African woman first. And I'm a Soninke woman. And that's something that I'm so proud of. And all the things that are surround, if you come to my house, Sani, in America, people think that I'm more African than anyone they know. When you walk into my house, I eat mono for breakfast. Like, everything about me is still like Gambisara, right? And if I have a husband, my husband is my Khalifa. And that's something that I believe.
I see. And you will always be the wife to your husband, and
Exactly.
you will do
And I
your
enjoy
household,
it.
you
It's
will
not
do your
because, like,
household responsibilities,
it's
because
not because,
feminists don't believe that. The current set of feminists believe that it's a 50-50. The man has to do this and the woman has to do this. So from your explanation, it's a different type of feminism. You are explaining.
even like like when I'm in America, right? And then I'm talking to some of my friends and I tell them that I believe in polygamy. Like, I would be a second wife, I would be a third wife, right? And people look at me like, are you mad? And I'm like, but that's what's wrong with it? To me, I'm not doing it for the man. Like, polygamy for me is like, I want a part-time husband because of how busy I am. And I don't have the time to do all the things that I'm obligated to do for a man.
But this is Jaha, you raise a very important issue here, because this is serious contention for feminists. They don't believe in polygamy, and here you
Listen,
are
I'm a
saying,
Muslim woman. Even the book that I wrote, if you read my book,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with polygamy. So
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't know me. Like, Gambians
And these are
assume.
these are some of the things. I think it has to do with the misconception, how people perceive you. That is why I'm learning a lot myself from you, because a lot of people don't think you hold some of these values so dear to you. They think you are too westernized,
But saying,
and
I wrote it in my book. Like, people just need to take the time and look for, like, just take the time and get to know me and understand my ideologies before you make up your mind and you start making up things about me that are not who I am.
hmm, who is Jaha Dukre after all this misconstruction or mistrust?
I mean, I think Gambians owe me an apology, to be honest. Like, they really put me through hell. But FGM, just, you guys can take it. Like,
Wow.
it's no longer,
But
I,
yeah, this is something I keep asking this question when you tell me that you are no more active into FGM because of the people you are advocating for do not appreciate you, do not know what they want. Yeah, someone must do this fight.
you have people. Saying you have, like, there's people that are very active in the FGM fight right now, and there's other young people that are coming. Like, I don't mind supporting them, and even if they need funding, they have questions, whatever they need to know, they can count me as a source. Come to me, but I don't need to be the face of it. I'm still doing stuff behind the scenes, but I no longer need the clapping for Jaha or insulting Jaha on Facebook, saying Jaha did this. I just don't want that in my life anymore. I don't want that negativity. But I would always support the movement.
Jaha, I will ask you this question. You were here some time back at the UN, and then you took part in events,
I'm their goodwill
advocating for.
ambassador.
Yeah, and you're a goodwill ambassador, yes. And then you had series of meetings. There was an instant you had a meeting where the first lady of the Gambia was in, the minister of women affairs was also in, and Jaha was so mad and bitter that all the credit was taken by the government instead of acknowledging the role of civil society organizations in the fight against FGM. Do you think the government should take the credit in the FGM fight?
I mean, no, not for keeping the ban. No, the government should not take credit. That was civil society. That was all of civil society united, working under one umbrella in the Gambia that should take the credit for the ban remaining, right? The government has nothing to, but right now with the death of the 1 month old baby, the government did issue a statement. The government did conduct
Yeah,
an
but
autopsy.
it took them 24 hours before they issue
But
the
they,
statement. We have seen
but
right
no,
group
no, no,
issuing statement immediately after. Go
no, no.
ahead.
But they still did. And you have to
Yeah,
understand that
yeah, and,
autopsies,
and also three women were charged. Yeah, to the
yes.
court.
But we have to remember that autopsies do take time. If you're
Right.
going to be evidence based, if you're going to be factual, sometimes you need to take your time, especially in a country like the Gambia, where if they came up prematurely and said that the baby died because of FGM, they say they're
And
lying. They took their time and then they produced us with evidence. Let's give them credit.
someone watching said it's too late. You're doing a great job. You should not step aside. You are still needed in the fight against FGM because this is a very contagious issue in the Gambia and it goes with a lot of challenges. Have we
But say,
seen
I don't
Jahad
do anything.
coming?
They say I don't do anything. They said I do. See, I love good things. One thing about me is, right, I don't hide who I am. Whether I'm in the West or I'm in the Gambia or wherever I am in the world, right? Me, I am
You
me.
stay original, right?
I'm still who I am, right? So the fact that I work, yes, if I like luxury stuff, that's what I like. Why should I change who I am just to fit a narrative or a mold? So they use that against me by, they tried to get the UN to drop me as their goodwill ambassador so many times. The amount of like things I hear about myself, I'm just like, you know what? This is too much. I don't need to do this anymore.
Jaha, are you not prepared for things like this in this advocacy? Because this an advocacy, anyone who entered there, you must have backlash because Gambia is predominantly a Muslim country. 90% of the population are Muslim. Are you not aware of this? That
No,
not everyone.
Sini, you were here with me on the Jame. We're not
Right.
talking about post Yaya Jame. We're talking about Yaya Jame time. When I first came to the Gambia and I started doing this work, all of you were here with me, right? And before, when it was the anti-FGM movement that was talking about me, it didn't bother me. No, the pro-FGM. When it was the pro-FGM, like the Imam Fatis, the Fumbai Ahmadus, and the people like that, that didn't bother me. But when the people that share my cause, right, are the people that are going around the world and discrediting me from my country, let them have it.
Yeah,
Let
Jaha,
them
this is serious because people you share the same common purpose with, according to what you are saying, are same people going around trying to discredit what you do. Don't you think
That's
your
why
work is there? Don't you think your work is there to speak for itself?
no, my work is there. They can never erase history. That's why even like with the Jame era, when they're saying that she took credit for other people's work. She didn't do anything.
Yeah.
She's a briefcase activist. These are the things. They even go to the UN site and they write that to try to get the UN to see those things and believe them. But I grew up within the UN system. The people that I work with, they know who I am. They travel with me. There's nothing you can tell them about me that they don't already know. I walk into the UN with my Chanel bags. They know Jaha in and out. But the point is, it's just hurtful when it's your own people that are always trying to destroy you. See, there's enough for all of us to exist in the
Yeah,
same space.
absolutely.
You don't need to
Absolutely.
bring me down to rise.
Yeah, just like in our own media situation, we have a lot of media houses and the competition is so high. But at the end of the day, as you said, the
You
sky
need to
is
pull
too
me
big.
up.
The
It doesn't
sky
make
is
sense.
too big for everyone to fly and live. Many thanks, Jaha Dukure, for those watching this final take with me, CNMK Maren. In the studio is a special guest. He said she is no more into the fight against FGM, but I still call her a prominent anti-FGM advocate and a champion. She has done a lot of work and in raising awareness in the fight against FGM. Jahad Dukre, what is next for you now? I notice you are into a lot of things. I remember reading your story about going into agriculture, working with rural women to, change their livelihood. This time, not in advocacy, but impacting directly with a source of living. Tell us, what are you doing and what's next for you?
Saying I want my work to be asset based. I want when you walk into a community that I have done some work in, I want you to be able to touch and feel the difference my work has brought in those communities. I don't want to be remembered as someone who just talked. I want to be remembered as someone who actually brought assets and impacted lives and gave women um, a chance. And agriculture is one of the best ways to do that. When you look at a place like the Gambia, 90% of the food that we consumed is imported into the country. Women are the biggest smallholder farmers in this country, but
Mhm.
they face so many challenges. When you look at the average Gambian family, we can't even do more than 1 hectare of land, and
Mhm.
we only grow during the rainy season. After the rainy season, most communities in rural Gambia don't have access to continue doing agriculture. Why? Because we don't have drip irrigation systems, we don't have the inputs, and agriculture is not easy. It requires a lot, but I'm passionate about it because I love, like, I feel like I find the most amount of peace when I'm working with sand, when I'm in the farm. That's where I am like happy. And I come from Gambisara, and I always tell people that I'll always be a village girl. It's something that I'm not ashamed of it. I'm actually really, really proud of the fact that I'm a village girl. And so, yeah, it's the same way I was passionate about FGM 10 years ago. That's how I am
Yeah.
now passionate about agriculture. And this is what feeds my soul.
Wow. Hmm. I think the fight against FGM advocacy feed your soul. But I'm glad that you find a new hobby that is agriculture. So, Jaha, tell us, you just launched a very ambitious agricultural project for the women in North Bank region. Bring us to speed. Tell us more about this project and how it's intended to impact the community, the host communities.
So, Sani, we are still learning as we go because there's a lot I have learned over the last year that I never knew about agriculture.
Mhm.
I secured a farm of 1,750 hectares, and it's actually in
And where?
CRR, but
Okay.
in
Okay.
CRR.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but the biggest problem that we have in the Gambia is saltwater erosion. If you look at the Gambia, we don't have big commercial agricultural businesses
Mhm.
because of the way the river is connected to the Atlantic Ocean. The ocean pushes salt water. So because of that, there's a lot of salinity in our soil.
Yeah, right.
And because of that, a lot of crops can't grow in that area. You have to go further down in order for you to have fertile
The
land.
fresh water, yeah.
And I didn't know that when I first got involved in agriculture. But when I started doing soil and water testing, that's when I realized this. And then, oh my God, I'm like, this is going to be impossible. But I'm learning a lot. Now I'm a farmer. Now I know about soil science. Now I know what I need to do to fix that. So, I'm learning as I go. I'm doing trials of different crops and understanding the patterns. And yeah, so my goal though is I want us to say in 5 years, we have increased the GDP of that community by at least 50%. I want women to sell their products outside of Gambia. Like right now, I'm looking for clients for Kinkiliba that I want to sell in Western supermarkets.
So you are trying to create an avenue or a market for these hardworking
Value chain. It's
farmers.
like a whole process. We grow, we do offtake, we partner with big companies like, let's say Walmart, for instance, or let's say some of the cosmetic companies, the things that they need, turmeric, ginger, that they put in their products, or even like the supplement world, right? That's booming and it will only continue to increase, the herbal tea world. So my goal is, once I understand my soil a little more and I know the things that we can grow at scale, is to find offtake agreements, partner with companies in the West. And our business model is we only grow things that are high value. We don't have time to be growing things that won't give us money and things that won't require a lot for us to process and send out of Gambia. Like all we would need, let's say, solar dryers. So the aspect of the business as we scale is also to include like processing facilities, cold rooms, but we don't want to grow anything that is easily perishable. Like for instance, if we grow like tomatoes and things like that, that's fine. We can sell it in the Gambia. But if it spoils, so me, it's like hibiscus, for instance. These are the
Do
things
you,
that
do,
I'm
do,
doing.
do, do you do you have plans to help women with storage facilities like cold storage? Because agriculture in the Gambia definitely need a lot of resources, because we have seen a lot of perishable commodities. Women will spend year round in farms. At the end of the day, they don't have market for it. They don't have places where to store it. Is the project looking into all these issues, and how much are we talking about here in terms of investment value?
Okay, so Seni, this is not a charity project, it's a business,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Oh, this
we
is
wouldn't,
purely a business.
it's business. Profit is a for-profit entity. So
So,
we wouldn't necessarily be building cold rooms for charity
okay.
purposes, right?
Okay.
The way our project works, once we know how the crops that we are testing right now perform, is we can either hire you to be a seasonal worker where we pay you, or we tell you that we have offtake agreement for these crops and we give you the inputs and the seeds that you need. You grow it in your own farm and then you come and sell it to us and we sell it. So these are the two ways that our project is going to work. Is either as a woman, if you want to be employed as a seasonal worker for us, we can hire you. Or if you want to be an part of our outgrower scheme, where we give you the seeds, we give you the inputs, you grow, but you have to sell back to us.
That's a very interesting project, and then I wish you good luck in that ambitious project that you are currently spearheading in the Gambia. Are you finally back to Gambia? Because I noticed you spending much of your time in Gambia now instead of the US.
So the goal is this year I want to move back permanently to just focus on my agricultural business and the other stuff that I'm doing. I'm not back fully yet. I come every 2 months or so, but my desire, so I want Gambians to pray for me, so that I can make enough money and come settle and just be a farm girl. Don't worry, you guys won't hear, you won't hear from me that much. Now I'm just
Jaha, the discussion is basically around FGM, and this is something you're very knowledgeable about. So we are just left with at least 15 minutes. We will use that time to, discuss, even though, you are stepping aside. Jaha, don't you think people who look up to you in this area will feel very disappointed?
See, like one of the problems that we have as a global community is we are not honest with ourselves. I don't want anyone to look up to me and not understand my challenges, right? I'm someone who has been very open with my life. I shared what I went through with FGM. Some people love me because of it. I'm celebrated because of it. Some people
Mhm.
hate me because of it, right? And when you're portraying an image, you need to be honest about the realities of everything, right? If someone decides that they still want to be like me, but they need to know that the movement that they're entering is very, 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 very toxic. If you want to be a part of it, wasalam. Why me, Jaha Dukure? Let me continue with my farming, and that's where my happiness is. Like I'm happier being a farmer than I was being an activist.
Hmm. Ja is happy being a farmer than being an activist. That must be a very challenging moment for you. Jaha, what are the arguments being made by those who want to leave the ban? And how do you think other activists can counter this argument and, win the fight against FGM, looking back from your experience, even though you are moving on to another thing?
In all honesty, like I don't know what their issue is. Like for me, it's like the fact that they don't want to hear anything and they don't even want to acknowledge the truth when they see it. Then you have to question, are they doing this because of Islam, or are they
Mhm.
doing this because of their own agendas, right? And we need to understand that we are talking about real people. A baby just died. That
Mhm.
is something that was preventable.
Mhm.
Someone like Imam Fati that is promoting the ban to be lifted, right? And they
Yeah.
keep saying that the type of FGM that they're promoting is that you cut little, yet they have never told anyone what that actually means. Who determines what is little and who determines what is a lot? Seni, we need to be factual. The same way I've done a lot of work inside to be able to be where I am now and confidently sit on TV or any platform and say the things that I said, they also need to sit with themselves and realize that we are not enemies. At the end of the day, this is our country and we're talking about the future of African generations.
Absolutely. Their arguments is always Islam. Islam permit this, and they will also argue that there is no evidence to say or suggest with the claims made by FGM activists
So, do
that
they want us as women to just take out our wrappers and show them what we went through? Is that what would change their minds? Is that what they want us to take out our clothes and show them that
they
we're
say
not?
they want evidence. You guys are saying
What
that
evidence do we need to open our legs and show them that most of us had our entire clitoris cut off? Is that what they want? Ask them.
probably maybe not, but anyway,
But
that's
if that's what it takes, right? Because
yeah.
you can't keep telling someone that they're lying about something when they have told you that this is what I experienced. But yet, even if a doctor saw me saying it and I give them my medical report, they will say the doctor fabricated it. So rather than that, right? Do they want us as women? Some of us can sacrifice and show them.
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'll do it, but I'm just saying some. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jaha, the other issue is that do we have available data on this incidence of deaths linked to FGM? Because this is one point of contention, and that there are women who die giving birth. You had, conducted a lot of research, talked to survivors and victims. Do we have a data to support
Yes.
those arguments
At
in the Gambia?
RVTH Hospital in Banjul, they were collecting data um, on how FGM affects women, especially when they're giving birth, people that die, fistulas, how
Hmm.
those fistulas are linked to FGM. And, With type 2 and type 3 FGM, which we are telling them that is practiced in the Gambia.
Can you break this type 2 and 3 FGM to the understanding of our audience?
Yes, absolutely. So type 1 FGM is basically the partial or total removal of the clitoris alone. Okay. That's when you don't touch anything else.
Total or partial?
The partial or total removal of the clitoris. And you don't touch anything else. Type 2 is when partial or total removal of the clitoris as well as the labia on the side, right? That's type 2. And we practice that in the Gambia. In Gambia, we do remove the labia and we do the clitoris. And then type 3 is the total removal of the clitoris, the labia, and then when a woman is sealed, either using her own tissue or they shut her with yes. In the Gambia, we don't do the shutting. In Wolof, they call it fata. And then in Sarahule, we also have, but in Gambia, what they do is they use your own tissue to seal you, so that way you're not able to have sex until that
that is the body that's been removed from you, your skin.
Yes, so they use that to seal you, so nothing can enter. They leave a tiny hole that allows you to obviously get your period, you pee. But the Soninkes do it a lot. In Wolof, it's called fata, and then in Soninke there's a word for it. In Mandinka there's a word for it. You know, we keep saying it's not true, but Seni, you grew up in the Gambia. I'm sure you have heard of cases where women were sealed. So for me, I think another thing that annoys me.
But the argument in that Jaha, because this is a bit complicated. The argument is, according to this pro FGM, is to protect the girl child from sexual, too much sexual pleasure or feeling. And this is
You see, this is where me and the religious people start fighting. Who are you to determine you should control a woman's feelings?
Sexual
like
urge,
God gave them. God said in the Quran that He built humans perfectly, right? So if He gave it to us, there's a purpose why He gave it to us. Let us enjoy it. Why do you have a problem with women? And then they keep talking about controlling a woman's sexuality. Girls that have been do get pregnant. Like, how many teenage pregnancies have we seen? That's not the problem. We need education. We need to talk to them about their own values, about our cultures and traditions, and why these things are important. But we don't need to cut a girl to, I don't agree. I can't agree.
Someone just sent a comment and say it's our sunnah and we will follow it to death. How do you describe people?
Let them, me, I'm not ready to die for activism. They're ready to die for, let them die, let them follow it. I'm not ready to die for any of that. They're ready to die, let them die.
Just you believe in a dialogue. You made mention that it's because other feminists don't like you, they hate you, even though you are doing the same advocacy with them. Why do you believe in dialogue? And do you think dialogue and awareness creation can at least change the narrative or the perception of ordinary Gambians with regards to the FGM?
Say, do you know why I think the U.S. Embassy blacklisted me?
Why?
I think it's because Imam Fati. Because I went to meet Imam Fati, and then Imam Fati came to. I built a mosque last year. During all of this, I built a mosque. And
where do you build this mosque?
I built it in Sukuta. Yes, in Sukuta, near Sukuta Nema. I built a mosque in my family's estate. And during the inauguration of the mosque, Imam Fati was there.
Oh, you invited him?
Yes, I invited him. So they had a problem with that. They spinned it and told the international community that I'm the one, promoting these religious leaders. And I'm like, okay, you want me to preach to the choir? If I'm only talking to people that agree with me, how is FGM ever going to end? Yes, I'm going to talk to the people that are not on the same page with me, because those are the people I need the most.
Mhm.
Those are the people who I need them to see me the most. So since then, I think like almost all the international, aside from
Organization
the UN is the only institution that is still with me.
working with you.
Everyone else, they have made them
But
believe
but
that
but but but,
they
but
don't have.
Jaha, this is very serious. You are a U.S. citizen, and then your work have been celebrated in the U.S. Also, you win awards here, and U.S. Embassy blacklisting you because a pro FGM imam reported you.
No, a pro FGM imam didn't report me. It was the anti FGM movement that reported me
Oh, sorry, the anti,
for
yeah, the
being
anti, yeah.
close. It wasn't Imam Party. They reported me for being the one that is, whether I'm with Imam Party or even sometimes, let's say someone like Fatu Kamara, for instance, because Fatu Kamara has made some statements on the internet and I'm still friends with her. I'm Gambian. I live with these people. Just because they are pro FGM doesn't mean that I'm going
You
to
have to
cut ties
hate
with
them.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, I have
yeah.
to cut ties with everyone. I'm not going to do that. There are people in
So
my
so
family
so
that
so
do.
so so to them, you are dealing with both sides in a very diplomatic way. So that has
Yes,
been misinterpreted in a way that you are not very serious with the fight, if I get you right.
that's what they say, but that's not true.
Yeah,
You know our culture.
yeah.
You know that in order for me to actually do what I have done for all these years, even getting Jammeh to ban FGM, I had to do it with respect. I had to do it with dialogue. And that's always going to be who I am. I will never change that. I will never go online and insult Imam Party.
Hmm.
I have my I have my disagreements with Imam Party, but I will
So
never
so
go
so so
online.
your approach in this fight is very different with the approach most of your colleagues are taking.
Absolutely, like the insane, but that's why I was very effective. Like when Sani, you are speaking as if you're just a journalist and you were not there with me. You guys were all there with me. You know how I've always worked. So the same
I know.
reason why they're celebrating me, now they're hating me for it. And I'm like, okay, fine. Me, I don't like you don't fund me. Like you don't determine, I don't do this for you. So if I was donor driven, right, then I would be afraid of what would happen to me if they see me with Imam. You've never funded me anyway. So why should you get to tell me what how I do my work?
Interesting, Jaha. This is a very interesting conversation, but we are almost at the tail end. We have 5 minutes to stay on this program. But as usual, I will keep following you. You are into agriculture, from FGM into agriculture, so hopefully a lot of your inspiring stories will be out there. And then you said you are more love and happy doing agriculture than doing FGM. Do you have
I,
any regrets in your
yeah, if
fight in the last
absolutely,
10, 15 years?
absolutely. If I knew this is how my life would have been, saying I am highly educated. I have a master's degree. I can do
Right.
whatever I want in life and succeed at it.
And
If I
recently
knew
you author a book. We will talk about that in a moment too.
exactly, so if I knew my life was going to be this much hate, all of the things that I'm seeing, Jaruko, like there's nothing in life that's worth. I love peace. Like I want to be happy. I want my children to grow up in an environment where none of this exists, right? So I do have a lot of regrets. What I know today, if I knew that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have put myself through all the things that I've put myself. But at least I'm also still young enough to move on. But I need your viewers, especially the one that said they would die for, tell them to please leave.
Oh, yeah, he said, "Is there sooner they will follow it to death."
Okay, that's
Anyway,
fine. But they won. Jaha is no longer an activist. Tell them they won.
Jaha, how did they won? Because the lift is still there. It's not. They didn't lift the ban. The
No, but at
ban is
least
still.
they don't see me anymore. Let them focus on the people that are actually talking about FGM. It's not me.
Jaha Marie Dukre talking to me from Banjul. Jaha, finally, what's the way forward to for the ban to stay in place? As it threatened the life of many, many young women and girls who are at risk of FGM in the Gambia.
I mean, I think the way forward is honesty, Sani. It's dialogue, is peace. It's us finding a way to bring everyone to the table and have honest conversations from both sides, and knowing that this is about us and our future, and it's not about the West. It's not about the funding. I always tell Imam Fatih, I'm like, Imam, if you actually just stop the things that you were doing, right? The argument about us getting funding, no one will get funding. Let's just, you know, if like there was no need to be doing this work, there will be no need to fund any activists. I told them the solution. So let's try to bring everyone together
Mhm.
and find a way forward, and know that it's actual lives that we're talking about. It's girls who are impacted, even if they don't lose their lives. Saying there's so much trauma with this
Yeah,
practice, especially the people that,
psychological, yeah.
yes, especially the people that remember going through it, right? Us son in case we go through it when we are 1 week old. So we don't remember anything. There's really no psychological trauma with us. It's only when you get married that you realize that you've been through it. But the people from other tribes that, like the Mandinkas, I hear some of them practice FGM at 12. These girls remember being pinned down, and they live with it. So let's just open our hearts, and know that it's when we say FGM has caused us pain, we're not saying it just for the sake of it. Like, we're not saying it just for attention or buzz or all the things that they're saying. And I keep trying to tell Gambians that me coming on an interview with you, you're not paying me to come on this interview. If I go
Absolutely.
on CNN, if I go on CNN, they're not paying me for me to be interviewed. So for the fact that they think that, I seen in me, I don't understand our
Everything is
people.
paid for by
Yeah,
the
I really
West.
don't understand our people.
Okay, Jaha Dukure, for those joining us, this brought us to the tail end of this interview with prominent anti-FGM advocate Jaha Mari Dukure. Many thanks, Jaha. Jaha is leaving the FGM advocacy. She is now more into agricultural entrepreneurship and business. Jaha, I wish you all the best in your endeavors and do have a wonderful evening in Banjul. And thank you for coming to the final take. I think I text you 2 3 days ago, and you were like, "Yes, I will be available." So that alone
Any
tell me.
Tell your colleagues not to contact me. I'm not doing any more interviews on FGM. I think maybe you should do a summary. You should probably do a summary report of what we talked about and write an article, and then everyone can take from that. Because in all honesty, like, I
Yeah,
just don't want to keep talking about these things anymore. And I would really want Gambians to respect my privacy. If they want to learn about my
yeah.
agricultural business, yes, and the work that I'm doing in tech, I'm more than happy to do interviews around that. But please respect my privacy. I don't want to talk about FGM anymore.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Great interview, Seni Marina. Jaha, thanks for inspiring a generation to fight FGM. Jaha, people still need you in this fight. Hopefully, I will come back to you and say, hey, Jaha is back in the fight against FGM. But anyway,
That's
it's
not that.
great
I
talking
mean,
to
no,
you.
even in my agricultural work, right? I think when your work is asset based, you build trust. And then people, once people know that you're actually working for them, everything is possible, but I am not going to be that Jaha that Gambians knew. That's not going to be my work anymore.
That's not gonna be your work anymore. Jaha, it's a weekend. Do have a wonderful weekend, and then thank you for responding to my my interview, and do have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the final take with me, Seni Marena. In the studio just recently is Jaha Dukure, anti-FGM advocates. That bring us to the end of this interview. I will see you guys with another exciting one next week. Until then, do have a wonderful weekend wherever you are.
Tune into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.